First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for, and I'm sorry that we did not win this election for the values we share and the vision we hold for our country.
Hillary Clinton delivered her concession speech this afternoon following last night's stunning upset election. Good evening. It's Wednesday, November 9th. I'm Stephanie Byrne.
And I'm Maggie Lorenz. Thanks for joining us. Across the country, voters watched as expected blue states turned red and Donald Trump became the president-elect. Evan Moon joins us with some post-election day information.
Yes, Donald Trump took the win last night despite the polls predicting his defeat. Today, I took a look at how that became possible. I think even Donald Trump himself was surprised last night as swing states gave him the lead. Many polls favoring Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton to win the presidency. Here's some information about last night's election and what America's next 4 years will look like. Around the nation, Republicans and Democrats alike were gathering at parties supporting their candidate, waiting for the polls to close and the final results to come in. Voters in Alachua County showed up to these gatherings to show their support.
I think that Trump is a pretty good candidate because he's had a lot of business ventures, and I think that'd be good for the economy because our economy is doing not the best right now.
I believe Donald Trump may say some strange things, but he's honest. He's a former Democrat who has people in his heart.
I'm Puerto Rican. I'm a U.S. citizen, but I'm supporting Hillary Clinton because she cares about all kind of races, and that's what America is.
And I'm with her primarily because she embodies all the core values of the Democratic Party. I've been a lifelong Democrat, and Hillary serves us with elegance and grace and intelligence.
But at the end of the night, despite the polls, Donald Trump won. So why were most polls wrong?
And I think where the polls missed the Trump win in Florida was looking at what we might call persuadables, especially women, white women, who came out and supported Donald Trump in a way, especially with those with a college education, that the Clinton campaign thought for sure were going to slide in her camp.
Smith says persuadables can be hard to predict in voter polls before Election Day. So Florida went red, so did many of the swing states. Donald Trump is our president-elect. What do we expect the next 4 years to look like?
It seems like the message of the country is they want change. And Hillary Clinton spoke to her supporters in the country and said, Donald Trump will be president. Let's give him a chance. So moving forward, this is the democratic system, and Mr. Trump will fit in that with 2 houses of Congress, the courts, etc.
Today, for the first time, Clinton and Trump agreed on something, that America needs to accept the results and come together to do what's best for the nation. President Barack Obama invited Donald Trump to the White House for an in-person meeting tomorrow.
Thank you, Evan. Marco Rubio will keep his United States Senate seat after winning the race with a 52% majority vote.
After dropping out of the U.S. presidential race, the Republican senator went up against Democrat Patrick Murphy. At his watch party, Rubio had this to say.
This is an extraordinary place, Florida. It is the collection of all of the things that make us the greatest nation on earth, of people who have lived here for decades, of the descendants of slaves, of the children of immigrants. Florida is America, and it's such an honor to be able to represent this extraordinary state.
In his winning speech, Rubio promised to help bring change to the country. He addressed the crowd in Spanish as well as English and ended his speech with a quote from the Bible. Incumbent Congressman Ted Yoho was reelected last night in Florida's District 3.
This will be his third time serving as a U.S. representative after renumbering and redistricting. Yoho represents parts of Gainesville and Ocala.
You know, winning an election, like we said before, to be able to win an election, when you put all this effort in there, and you see all these people, all these good people, if you look around here and see the vast amount of support, people believing in the cause that we stood for. And again, I didn't go to Washington for a job. We went there for a cause.
Yoho says he's relieved the campaign is over, but he's looking forward to getting back to work. Out of the 83,000 votes cast for State Representative District 21, Republican Chuck Clemens took 53% of the vote to Mary Ellen Wheeler's 46%. Clemens takes a seat vacated by Keith Perry, who won the state Senate District 8 seat yesterday. Overall, the Republican Party kept a majority hold in the Florida House of Representatives. Keith Perry won one of the most bitterly contested races for the Florida Senate. He took 53% of the vote to 47% for Rod Smith.
You know, all that work, all that effort, and then you start thinking about the opportunity. You don't run to win, you run to win so you can go out and do something. And so there's a lot of opportunities. It's a lot of work.
The race had its share of drama when Perry engaged in a scuffle with a Gainesville resident removing a Perry sign from his yard. This ultimately was resolved with 0 charges filed.
Well, the weather has been pretty gloomy all day today with some showers in the area.
Yeah, it actually started raining right here right before our show started. So UF forecaster Amanda Hawley joins us in the Weather Center to tell us when the sunshine will return.
Well, it won't be long, but we do have the rest of the evening to get through this kind of gloomy day. It's kind of cool, and yes, there were a few sprinkles out there as well. I do want to show you that here on the time lapse from, this is a live cam right now. You can see a shower off in the distance that moved through just a couple minutes ago. That current temperature 70 degrees, so it is pretty cool out there right now, and you can see the showers beginning to exit North Florida to the south, and that's because it's all thanks to a cold front that's making its way through, and really it will be dropping our temperatures tonight down into the lower 50s. But check out the rainfall over the past 24 hours. I mean, it is just kind of came in and it is just moving to our south now, which is some good news, and those cooler temperatures will be arriving tonight. That low temperature will be around 50 degrees here in Gainesville. Coming up, though, I've got some good news about the next 6 days and what those temperatures will be like. Back to you.
Thank you, Amanda. Alachua County was just one of several north central Florida counties to hold sheriff's races. With close to 70% of the majority vote, incumbent Sheriff Sadie Darnell was reelected.
Having the support of people in the community and the agency has just made this happen. I willingly accept it and enjoy it and thrilled about it and look forward to 4 more years.
Billy Woods took more than 62% of the vote for sheriff in Marion County. He will leave his position as a lieutenant at the Ocala Police Department to begin work as sheriff in January.
I'm looking forward to it because the opportunity for the men and women of that agency to open doors that they probably haven't had in decades and where they can make the change. It's not me, I'm just providing the opportunity.
Florida also held sheriff's races. In Bradford, incumbent Republican Gordon Smith won with more than 80% of the vote. Republican Michael Prendergast won in Citrus County with 70% of the vote. Dixie County had 2 no-party affiliated candidates for their sheriff's race, and incumbent Dewey Hatcher Sr. took the win with over 80% of the vote. The Putnam County Sheriff's race will have a recount tomorrow because only 18 votes set both candidates apart. Sewanee County has confirmed they will not hold a recount in their sheriff's race after Alton Williams submitted a letter stating he did not want a recount and that he will concede the election. With an over 70% approval rating in the polls, marijuana will become legal for medical use in Florida.
WUFT's Anastasia Fraga joins us now in the studio.
Ladies, just after 2 years of a narrow defeat, medical marijuana now has won easily this time around. Lawmakers had only approved narrow use of marijuana, an extract to treat seizures and compassionate care for terminal conditions. Now the system will be built to allow much broader use with a doctor's prescription.
Marijuana will soon be legal for medical use in the state of Florida for any debilitating condition. Dispensaries are expected to expand across the state. One opened in Tallahassee this summer.
Well, we've had expansion plans in the works now for a while. So we are in various stages of permitting in a number of places. So Tampa will likely be our next store to open. Then we have stores opening in Orlando, in Jacksonville, down in Miami.
One Tallahassee doctor hopes to work his way south through Gainesville, opening clinics. The anesthesiologist says his brother passed away from cancer in a state where medical marijuana was not available.
This is such a useful adjunct in cancer patients. So much so that Florida passed a law 2 years ago, but at the time he passed, it was not available. And I felt the need to help people access it now. because I could not help him at the time.
Now with the legalization of marijuana for medical purposes, some doctors are seeing this in a positive light to treat patients with severe conditions such as cancer, Crohn's disease, or even seizures.
Because it also has potential beneficial effects. It has to be used carefully like anything else, but I definitely see it as a great benefit to our patients and to the healthcare system. It makes it easier access.
With the legalization, the first step for Florida, the Department of Health is expected to adopt a process for distribution, probably a registry with patient ID cards, as in Colorado.
Several states had medical use or personal recreational use on the ballot, and most of the measures passed. California and other states approved general use, some with systems of regulation similar to alcohol. Arkansas and North Dakota have joined Florida in approving medical use.
Thank you, Anastasia. Another item on the ballot was the controversial solar power amendment.
51% of voters said yes to the confusing amendment, but it failed to pass because 60% is needed. Opponents say it would have locked in local utility fees and banned subsidies to encourage adoption.
Other amendments did pass, including Amendment 3. This one establishes a property tax exemption for first responders who end up permanently disabled. Amendment 3 passed with 84%.
Amendment 5 passed with nearly 80% of the vote, allowing for a tax exemption for some senior low-income long-term residents. The tax break is targeting fixed-income people with homes valued at $250,000 or less.
Alachua County had a pair of local tax proposals in the ballot. An extra property tax for schools was renewed with nearly 80% of the vote. The extra $1 million helps to fund school nurses and librarians, plus music and art programs, among other things.
And then there's the return of a local option sales tax for wild spaces and public places, meaning improvements to parks as well as land conservation.
It barely passed when first tried, and critics said school repairs and construction should be a higher priority around Gainesville.
WUFT's Mari Salazar joins us with the story on how voters saw the issue.
The Gainesville Chamber of Commerce came out against the tax, saying the county already has 20% of its land in conservation, but voters favored the other side. The argument that better green space makes for a more livable community. Alachua County voters passed an extended version of the wild spaces and public places local sales tax. Over 8 years, it could raise $130 million to improve city parks or conserve land in the county. All local governments will get a cut.
And from the perspective of the cities, and we have 9 cities in Alachua County, each one of them will get a piece of the funding, and it will enable them to dramatically improve their parks and recreation facilities.
Advocates say there will be money to protect wildlife habitats and natural areas suitable for recreation. The 125-acre Sweetwater Preserve is a property acquired by Alachua County forever. This is only one of the preserves that will have its natural resources managed by the Wild Spaces and Public Places referendum. Supporters say conservation is important to protect the Floridan aquifer.
Clean water, clean drinking water is one of the most important things that you can have in a community for quality of life, for health.
According to the Land Conservation Board, the county's program has been able to acquire roughly 2,000 acres. When that part ramps back up, people will be able to nominate lands to be considered for conservation. A long list of park improvements already prioritized for the funding when it becomes available. You can find that information online at wildspacespublicplaces.org. Mari Salazar, WUFT News.
Still ahead, a historic drop and then a rebound. How our president-elect generated a reaction in the global market. Consumer News is next.
And we saw a pretty gloomy day out there with clouds and a few sprinkles that moved by. Tomorrow, though, will be a lot cooler and a lot cooler start anyway, and we'll see a lot more sunshine. Coming up, I've got your full weekend forecast.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. As Donald Trump's electoral votes added up last night, the stock market saw its futures trading go down, way down. But today, Wall Street welcomed President-elect Trump by avoiding the crash many had feared. Dow futures were down nearly 800 points in late-night trading, but the index actually finished up 257 points by the end of the day. The S&P 500 closed today up 1.1%. Japan's markets did see big losses, and European markets went down too, though they both recovered over the course of today.
The response reminded many of the reaction to Brexit, a sharp drop followed by a quick rebound. Financial experts say traders are re-evaluating the potential economic benefits from Trump's plans to cut taxes and spend money on infrastructure. General Motors is cutting 2,000 jobs, the first layoffs for GM in 6 years. The company says it's trying to match production to lower demand for sedans as Americans are buying more trucks and SUVs. The car maker will cut the third shift at assembly lines in Ohio and Michigan to make fewer units of the Chevrolet Cruze and fewer Cadillac ATS and CTS. GM says the Lansing, Michigan plant could see a $211 million investment to retool for a new product program. And though the layoffs are bad news for the assembly line near Youngstown, Ohio, GM will invest $668 million to retool its specialty shop in Toledo, Ohio, to produce its next generation of transmissions. Americans who live along the coast of Oregon and Washington get to enjoy spectacular ocean vistas, but they also live with a threat of tsunamis. Scientists say a major event from a close earthquake only happens every few hundred years, but waves and flooding from distant earthquakes average once every 7 years. NBC's Keely Chalmers introduces us to a man who's developed what he calls an insurance policy for those folks. Instead of rushing inland to escape, they might shelter in place.
From the evacuation route signs that line the streets to these blue lines that let you know when you've reached safe ground, it's easy to tell Oregon's coast is tsunami territory.
With the subduction zone off the Oregon coast to Cannon Beach, the wave we estimate is within 20 minutes.
But what if you couldn't get to high ground within that time?
So we started putting pencil to paper.
Seattle aerospace engineer Julian Sharp believes he has the answer, and it comes in this sphere-shaped capsule.
I had the idea whilst weekending in Cannon Beach, and I thought, bollocks, what happens if a tsunami comes now?
It's called the survival capsule. Here's how it works. When an earthquake hits offshore, instead of running to higher ground to escape the tsunami, you would strap yourself inside the pod, which is tethered to the ground, and float on top of the waves. The capsule's designed to handle the impact of the tsunami and all the resulting debris. And while opinions on the pods are mixed,
I think it's an interesting concept. I think it's an interesting idea.
I don't like that idea. I don't like the idea of riding a wall throughout the tsunami, no.
Sharp says he's done the tests, and this survival capsule will do the job.
I would go over Niagara in this capsule if the Niagara Parks people will finally give me permission.
I think I'll pass. Right now, a two-person pod costs about $13,000, but Sharp says he's wrapping up a deal to deliver the first one. Google is rolling out an update to its Gmail mobile app for iOS users, and it features a new undo send button. Just as you can on desktop, a new undo send button on mobile will help prevent embarrassing email mistakes. Users will have the option to take back an email within 5 seconds after it's been sent and fix any errors. The update, which also features swipe to archive or delete, is the biggest overhaul of the Gmail app in nearly 4 years. So have you two ever wished you could undo send on an email?
I think we've all been there. You noticed at the last second a typo or something that you didn't mean to say, so I think it's a great idea.
Right, I've definitely been there, but 5 seconds? I mean, I think it takes a little bit longer for any regret to set in if you send an email with typos. Thank you, Austin. And if you've enjoyed these cool mornings we've had this past week, you're in luck.
But you'll want to grab a jacket when you head out the door tomorrow morning because it is going to be quite chilly. Amanda joins us again with how cold it's going to get.
Those temperatures will be dropping into the low 50s tonight, even some upper 40s, especially near the I-10 corridor. It's all thanks to the cold front that's moving through right now. It brought us a few showers earlier on this afternoon, and those last few showers are exiting North Florida right now. We've got a few more in Levy and Marion County, and just a small shower making its way through Alachua right now. But again, those are moving off to the south, but check out what moved through over the past 24 hours. We saw quite a bit of rainfall overnight last night, around 2/10 of an inch. Quite a bit of rainfall compared to the past couple of weeks anyway, around 2/10 of an inch here on the University of Florida campus. But this cold front is sliding to the south, and some cooler air is starting to filter in right now. It will be arriving overnight tonight, but that was a live cam. I do want to show you that again. It just kind of looks gloomy out there, kind of like a cold winter day if you're not feeling the temperatures, even though those temperatures really are in the upper 60s right now. But look at the temperatures across north central Florida. 70 up in Lake City, 70 out in Cedar Key, 72 in Ocala. So kind of a cool fall fall day here in north central Florida, and those temperatures will be even cooler when you step out the door on your Thursday morning. 50 will be that number here in Gainesville, 52 in Ocala, a little bit warmer along the first coast, 58 out in St. Augustine, but it will be noticeably cooler because it'll be about 10 degrees cooler than where we started off this morning. And now the cooler mornings are going to continue as well. Friday morning is going to be even cooler with lows in the upper 40s, and the low 50s will continue over the next 6 days, and that's thanks to another cold front that will be making its way through. This one will arrive on Saturday. It will be dry as it makes its way through, only a few passing clouds as it does so, but it will keep our temperatures right around seasonable for this time of year. That's highs in the mid-70s, those lows in the mid-50s, and that'll last through the beginning of next week. In fact, I'm not seeing any 80s now for a while, which is some good news for those folks of you who are just kind of sick of those warmer temperatures. We've got a nice seasonable weather pattern setting up across North Florida right now. Thursday afternoon, it's still going to be about the same temperature in the afternoon. That's because we're going to see plenty of sunshine. It will be back on our Thursday. 75 will be that high in Gainesville. 79 will be that high in Ocala, and 74 in Lake City. Plenty of sunshine out there. There will be a northeast breeze around 5 to 10 miles an hour that you'll notice, and it'll keep it even nicer out there for your lunch break on your Thursday. But over the next 6 days, there's not too much to worry about. That second front will make its way through on Saturday. Like I said, just a few passing clouds, no rain associated with it, but those temperatures staying right around average for this time of year in the middle 70s. So that's something to look forward to, especially for the Saturday and Sunday weekend coming up. Back to you.
Thank you, Amanda. One final home game in 2016 for the Florida football team.
We bring in WUFT sports anchor Ben Murphy, who has more on the Florida football team.
We've been in a political coma. Sports still going on. Florida's got to name a quarterback, and I promise you, it's not going to be named Hillary or Trump. We'll get to that coming right up next. Sports! Deflation. Really the only way to describe the feeling around Florida football after getting rolled over by Arkansas last week. With Luke Del Rio out indefinitely with injury, Jim McElwain has a decision to make. Today, McElwain put a label on it. Austin Appleby, the starter at quarterback, freshman Felipe Franks on standby, and Kyle Trask, also a freshman, in the bullpen if need be. Appleby, of course, started against Tennessee and Vanderbilt. The grad transfer has thrown for 470 yards, 3 touchdowns, and just 1 pick as a Gator. As for Franks, Max said he's not scared to put the kid in if the moment calls for it.
You know, Austin's going to take those first snaps, and you know, we'll see where that piece goes as we move forward. We need a spark, and you know, Felipe could be that guy. You know, who knows? And yet, it's not all about that position. Sometimes it's, you know, making sure the other guys around him are taking care of their responsibilities as well.
Free Willie. Florida brings back Will Muschamp and his new squad, South Carolina, Saturday at noon. Week 2 of the college football playoff rankings came out yesterday. Florida not ranked. Falling off a cliff really from the 11th spot to nowhere on the big board. The nameless, faceless machine, Alabama, still on top after getting tested by LSU this week. Clemson number 2, Michigan 3, and Washington, the price is right. You're lucky number 4 after Texas A&M fell to Mississippi State on Saturday. The number 2 team in the country will be missing some pieces next year. Nothing to worry about now, Clemson fans, but I think you knew this was coming. Quarterback Deshaun Watson, running back Wayne Gallman, Artavis Scott, and Mike Williams have announced they will declare for the draft at the end of this year. Florida basketball is on deck. 2 days from the first tip, the opponent Friday, Florida Gulf Coast, a team Florida has never lost to. Players on Florida's roster have combined for a total of 295 starts, which is actually more than the 06-07 championship teams did. The depth is there, but will they be able to put it together? This team is anxious to get back out there Friday in Jacksonville.
I think we're more of a team this year, and we're more bought in to doing whatever the coach tells us to do. I mean, last year we did what he asked, but this year I think everybody, like we already have a feeling about what to do before he tells us to do it, and we're more in tune with each other.
In Jax against Dunk City FGCU Friday at 7:30. Since no one will be in the O'Connell Center for at least a month, the Florida women's basketball team is in Jax as well. Florida will be considered the home team in their opener against South Alabama. Big expectations for Amanda Butler's team this season.
We're shooting the ball pretty decent, and that was something that we weren't sure, you know, what that was going to look like. But in this scrimmage, hit some timely threes, but at the same time didn't take too many. So our shot selection was really good as well. But a lot of positive areas, a lot of areas we still have to grow and improve.
Florida women's basketball and South Alabama tip in Jacksonville at 5 p.m. So LSU took a home game from Florida. The Gators playing in Louisiana in a couple weeks. If you want to watch the game in the Swamp, you still can. They're inviting students, fans, anyone else who wants to come eat at a food truck and watch the game on the big screen in Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
Well, that sounds like so much fun. I'm actually going to hit the road, though, and see the game at LSU, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. It's a great option. Hey, I'll be here, so I'll have to do that. All right, thank you, Ben. Before we go, let's get one last check on the weather. Here's Amanda.
Those clouds will start to clear out overnight tonight as that cold front passes through, and cooler air is going to arrive. Temperatures are going to fall into the lower 50s by the time you step out the door, and those winds will be dying down as well, but they will be picking back up on your Thursday. We'll see a northeast breeze around 5 to 10 miles an hour out there, and temperatures will be around seasonable for the next 6 days. That's thanks to a reinforcing cold front on Saturday, keeping those highs in the mid-70s both Saturday and Sunday with just a few passing clouds. A pretty nice seasonable weather pattern setting up here in North Florida to look forward to over the next 6 days. Back to you.
Thank you, Amanda. For a global perspective on the U.S. presidential election, stay tuned for World Newscast from England and Germany.
And America's PBS NewsHour will be on at 7 o'clock. Have a great night.